Welcome back to Open Med School. I am Dr. Andrews, Professor of Medicine and Principal P.K. Das Institute of Medical Sciences. Today I will be discussing about upper motor neuron lesion. Upper motor neuron lesion and what are the clinical findings. In the last session we have discussed about the lower motor neuron lesion and the common clinical conditions. So let us review what is a lower motor neuron. In the nervous system, there is a hierarchy. There is a neuron in the central nervous system, the upper motor neuron, that controls neuron in the spinal cord or the equivalent nuclei of the cranial nerves. So this is the lower motor neuron which supply the muscle, or you can say that lower motor neuron is the final common pathway that supply the muscle. So the lower motor neurons are situated either in the anterior horn cells. So this is the spinal cord, and there's from the anterior root the fibers are coming down, the nerves are coming, and it is supplying the muscle. So this is the lower motor neuron, and they are under influence by higher centers. It can be either from the cortex. It is coming down, descending down to the spinal cord, and then it is called corticospinal pathway. As it is coming from the cortex down to the spinal cord, it is called a corticospinal pathway. There are brainstem pathways like vestibulospinal pathway, tectospinal, rubrospinal, reticulospinal, etc., about which we will discuss in another session. So suppose there is a disorder of the upper motor neuron. Let us see what are the clinical findings. So we have discussed that in the lower motor neuron, the classical findings we have discussed. So we will think about examination of the motor system as bulk of muscle, tone of muscle, power of muscle, reflexes, coordination, and involuntary movements. This is the routine way we will examine. So let us see what will be the finding that you get in upper motor neuron lesion and what will be the finding in lower motor neuron. So in bulk of muscle is significantly reduced in lower motor neuron. So lower motor neuron lesion produces reduction in the bulk, or it produces wasting. Wasting is a classical finding that you get in LMN lesion, wasting. In UMN lesion, there is usually no wasting. Sometimes we can get what is called a disuse atrophy. So long-standing cases, you may get a disuse atrophy. Then the tone of muscle, tone is increased in UMN lesion. You get a hypertonia. In LMN lesion, the tone is decreased. So that is one of the very important. Then comes the power. Power, there is weakness of muscles. So weakness is present in LMN, and in UMN also there is weakness. So but the weakness has got some difference. For example, ulnar nerve paralysis is an example of a lower motor neuron lesion. What will you get? You get a weakness of muscles supplied by that nerve. You get a claw hand. Suppose you have got a wrist rope, you get the muscle supplied by that muscle, or that nerve is lost. So the weakness is focal, that is in a particular muscle supplied by that nerve is lost. Whereas in a human lesion, usually the weakness is an action is lost. For example, hand grip is weak. It is not just a foot rope, or a wrist rope, it is an action you cannot hold. So the problem is in a human lesion, the disability is out of proportion to the weakness. This is one point you should remember. Then coming to the reflexes. Reflexes are the muscle stretch reflexes, or the tendon jerks are exaggerated in human lesion, and in LMN lesion you get a hyporeflexia. In addition, in human lesion you can get abnormal reflex. For example, the Babinski sign will be positive in, so you can get a Babinski sign. Babinski sign is or the extensor plantar. You will not get extensor plantar in LMN lesion. Then comes the coordination. It depends upon the amount of the weakness. And the involuntary movement, one of the important involuntary movement in LMN lesion is fasciculation. So fasciculation, we have discussed last time, fasciculations are contractions of motor units, that is the muscles supplied by a single anterior horn, that is a motor unit, and the motor units goes into contraction. Fasciculations are important feature of LMN lesion. It will be felt as some twitches. There can be fibrillations. Fibrillations are contractions of individual muscle fibers. They are not visible. Ordinary naked eye can only be identified by electromyography. So these are the classical findings of LMN and UMN lesion. Hope you have understood the major differences between LMN and UMN. In the next session, I will be coming out with what are the upper motor neuron tracts, or otherwise called the descending tracts. And we will be discussing about how or what is the physiological mechanism underlying these abnormal findings of UMN lesions. Hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you like this, subscribe and share the channel. Thank you.